Welcome home to the Souter team. Hi, I'm Brett Souter with Remax Roots, and I'm very pleased to have with me today Scott Brookshire with Go Mortgage. Scott has been a really trusted partner with me and my clients for probably over 10 years now as far as doing mortgages and helping our clients get the settlement. And as a real estate agent of over 30 years, I'll tell you, having partners to help your clients is paramount to a successful transaction. So Scott, you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Brett, thank you. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. My name is Scott with Go Mortgage. I have a branch of Go Mortgage here in Winchester, Virginia. We have been open as a group and a unit since 2008. We just recently moved over to Go Mortgage in November. A lot of new opportunity, a lot of new technology, plethora of loan programs that we can offer clients. So we're extremely excited and looking forward to 2023 and making things work.
So Scott's going to talk with us today about conventional loan products. And Scott, you want to tell us a little about what a conventional loan is?
So a conventional loan is designed for a client that is typically going to have a better credit score, has a larger down payment, anywhere from 5 to 20%. They can put down as much as they want, but typically in most cases is minimum of 5% down. Like I said, better credit score, more experienced buyers in some cases, investors, second home purchasers, things of that nature. We also look into conventional loans once the loan limits get over a certain amount, especially locally, where some of the primary government loans are capped on loan amount, like an FHA. But typically designed for that premise and that buyer.
Okay. And then what would some different types of conventional loan products look like? I mean, what would they be?
So conventional loans come in your standard 30-year mortgage, which is the most popular term for conventional, but we can do 25, 20, 15, 10-year conventional mortgages. And again, down payment amounts can vary based on borrowers' needs or wants, desires, long-term goals, things like that.
And then, so with a conventional loan, I mean, obviously there's different guidelines with conventional loans versus government loans and that kind of stuff. So like debt to income issues and stuff like that, what would be some different guidelines we might see with a conventional loan?
Correct. So debt to income ratios are certainly going to be a little more strict on a conventional loan than they would on a government backed loan. We typically, nothing over a 49.9% debt to income ratio is going to be allowed in a conventional loan for a primary home purchase. Typically want to stay below 45 for a second home or an investment purchase. Again, credit score is going to play a lot into getting a conventional loan approved. Again, typically designed for folks with the higher credit scores. And again, down payment, assets, things like that all play into whether or not somebody fits into a conventional loan model, or we need to move them into a government-backed loan.
Okay. And then I know when I send people over to get pre-qualified with Scott, sometimes he'll run through all the numbers and sort of do a spreadsheet based on conventional, FHA, VA, whatever their potential opportunities would be, or different loan packages that they could use. And why would somebody maybe pick a conventional loan over an FHA or a VA or one of the other government programs?
Sure. So if a buyer is going to put money down and they're a first-time buyer, they can do a conventional loan for as little as 3% down. So it's a great way to get into real estate. And we've even done long-term plans for buyers where they'll buy their first home as a conventional 3% down, live in it for a while, then they move that to an investment, they come back to another conventional as their primary, and they upgrade every time into a bigger home. They do a second home as a primary for as little as 5% down, turn their first home they used into or purchased into an investment, and that's how they build real estate wealth. Again, it comes back to qualification parameters for a borrower. And when I meet with a client or prospective borrowers, I'm going to lay all their options out on the table. And at the end of the day, it's their choice, what fits them best, not only for right now immediate needs, but long-term goals as well. And everybody's long-term plan is different.
Right. So what about when, sometimes we'll have our clients out and, they are looking for a property and maybe to get the size property that they're looking for, or maybe they have some specific needs in a property, but they're looking at property that might have some condition issues and appraisal issues, or how do they differ?
So government-backed loans, FHA, VA, USDA, the typical government-backed loans, they have certain requirements that the homes have to meet, property condition requirements. The appraiser has to indicate whether or not they meet those standards, as to where a conventional loan does not necessarily require those things. So there are times where we're going to see less scrutiny on a property's condition in a conventional loan than in a government-backed loan.
Yeah, we've seen that. So talk to me a little bit about interest rates and buy downs, and how that can affect a purchaser and their long-term goals with the property, and their short-term goals, I guess, about how much money out of pocket.
Sure. So there's no question. Everybody watches the news and everybody hears the interest rates are up. I try to focus on payment stability and payment comfort levels for buyers more so than I do interest rates. And we try to work into a payment that meets their budget goals and also meets their house purchasing goals. So with interest rates now, there's a couple of options that you can do to achieve a lower rate. The first one that's become very popular as of late is called a 2-1 buy down. Simply put, the seller gives you a credit and pays an interest subsidy at closing for you to cover interest that will not be paid by you as the buyer for the first 2 years. So if I told somebody their interest rate was 6% and that was the note rate, they would get a 4% interest rate payment for the first year. And in the second year of the mortgage, they would get a 5% interest rate payment. And in year 3, they would move into their normal 6% interest rate that they had originally signed on to. But it is a way for buyers to get into a property at a cheaper payment. Obviously, everybody has the hopes of refinancing to something better in the future, but the seller pays that subsidy for them. Other ways to get the rate down are more of a long-term play, where you have seller credits, or you as the buyer pay discount points to achieve a lower long-term interest rate. And again, this plays back into long-term goals for folks. What is the best for you at this time? If is paying more for a long-term rate buy down in points better for you than just paying the closing costs? Vice versa. Again, it's a strategy that I try to talk and explain to all the borrowers.
Right. And I know Scott does a great job of that. Whenever we have our clients that go over to Scott, they typically he's very good about answering their questions and being available. So I will say that's just an awesome part of working with Scott. So when we are negotiating contracts on behalf of our buyer clients, one of the things that sometimes we'll ask for are seller paid closing costs. And I know that with a conventional loan, obviously, maybe if they're doing a 5% down or 10 or 20% down, or they're trying to take 20% down to get below the MI threshold, the mortgage insurance threshold, they may have that much money, but they need some help with closing costs. So What about seller paid closing costs?
So seller paid closing costs are allowed on all conventional loans. They are capped based on the type of purchase you're doing, whether it's primary, secondary investment. For a primary home purchase, if you're only putting 5% down, you can only get 3% in seller paid closing cost assistance. If you are doing more than 5%, then you can get up to 6%, and in certain situations, up to 9% in closing costs. If it's an investment property, 2% is the maximum seller contribution that you can receive from the seller. So investors, again, are going to be they're going to have more liquid funds available, not only for down payment, but also pay their closing costs.
Okay. And so I just mentioned private mortgage insurance. Obviously that's a part of their payment, along with the taxes, which nobody can do anything about. We're all going to pay real estate taxes. So the private mortgage insurance, can at some point potentially be taken off their loan. Can you talk a little bit about some of the guidelines on that?
Sure. So there's different flavors of mortgage insurance, if you will. There's a monthly flavor of mortgage insurance. There is what we call a lump sum mortgage insurance that gets paid at closing one time. And then there's also mortgage insurance built into your interest rate, which is not a popular product these days. And to be honest, the most popular is a monthly mortgage insurance. It tends to be a little bit, it's on the cheaper side on a monthly basis. Once the borrower hits 78% loan to value after they have acquired the property, then that mortgage insurance is eligible to be dropped off of the loan. If they pay their balance down on their mortgage faster, it's that much faster that that mortgage insurance can fall off. The lump sum mortgage insurance is going to increase a borrower's overall closing cost at closing. That's more of a long-term play. They know they're going to be in the home for quite some time. And some borrowers just might, hey, I have a payment I want to be at. I don't want a monthly pay. I want to pay it all at one time, and then they're done with it. And in the long run, the lump sum is cheaper as far as recapturing those funds. The monthly mortgage insurance could last 9 years, for example, as to where that monthly payment they make for 9 years could be recaptured in as little as 4 years, maybe, in a lump sum mortgage insurance.
Okay. So one thing that we want to do with our podcast is kind of give a tip of the podcast kind of thing. So our tip that we would have today is something that we talk with people about most of the time, that are settlements, and that's paying maybe an extra principal payment per year on the mortgage if they have the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about how that can benefit them?
Sure. Anytime that you pay extra principal towards your mortgage, you are knocking not only time off your loan, but you are saving money. And you're saving interest. When you look at the total interest paid over the course of the loan, the faster you pay the balance of the loan off, the less interest you're going to pay. So it's a win-win all the way. So we always suggest that. Customers always ask, hey, what do I need to get this loan paid off in this amount of time? We'll simply work up a quick amortization table and show them, and then that's their goal, that's their budget, that's what they set themselves to. So it's extremely beneficial, and if you can afford it, I would always recommend to do that.
Yeah, I would too. I'd like to thank Scott for coming out today and talking with us about conventional loan programs. If you have any additional questions about conventional loans or any other loan, quite frankly, I know Scott would be very happy to speak with you. We'll link his contact information and social media into the description box.
Brett, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to come on over to chat with you guys this morning, and I'm looking forward to an awesome 2023. Let's go.
And if you all please like, follow, and subscribe for additional videos to come.